Broadcasting from Hollywood, California. It's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
Vicki and Tamra exit Real Housewives of Orange County for good. I'm not feeling the hype around the circle. Salt Lake City Housewives record with Lala and Katie of Vanderpump Rules, and Cher joins the Free Britney movement. Diana Espir rants with us right here. Let the ranting begin. I am sitting across from Diana Espir.
I am so excited for the ranting.
Oh
Thank you.
A long time coming. We've been in touch through Instagram. We're actually neighbors, like one street over neighbors.
We are. I was trying to reach out to you. I desperately wanted you on my show. And then I saw you walk your dog on my street.
It's so weird because on this show, I have people from all over the world calling. And like, sometimes they're close. Sometimes they're in Australia. They're in New York. You just never know who's going to be on there. Isn't it a small world? Like, I literally walked over here.
West Hollywood is such a small world.
It's like, I know it is. And I love living here for that. Because it's like everyone's our age and it's just easy.
I thought it was going to be a whole process to like get to you, you get to me, and you just walked over.
Who knew? So I'm actually recording in Deanna's apartment, which is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And like I said, up the street, convenient. So we like that. And I love recording in person. You know, I really prefer it. So this is wonderful.
It's the best way to connect with someone.
Yes. And I want to shout it out right away. You can hear her on the podcast. You Can't Sit With Me. So that's where I just did her show. That's how we know one another. I always like to say, how do we know each other? I just recorded her podcast, so be sure to check it out.
I appreciate the plug. We had a great chat, pop culture chat on my show, and we're about to do probably even better on this because you're more of a prepared person. I'm more like off the cuff. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I wish I was more off the cuff. These notes take me forever, but I enjoy it. And you guys, if you want to listen to her show, again, You Can't Sit With Me podcast. It's all different topics. So it's my take, her take on different pop culture topics. Gwyneth Paltrow comes up. You know my thoughts on her, listeners. So, but let's talk about, I guess, the first story, the biggest story going on. RHOC, Vicki and Tamra make their exits. Announced on Instagram. This is the world that we're in. Nobody can get an article on people anymore. Nobody has a publicist. Like
the article becomes about the Instagram caption.
It is. There's like 800 articles about this, and all it is the screen grab of the comment on Instagram.
This is the world of media now, which this is why I think podcasts are more valuable than actual news outlets, because at least we have an opinion, we have an angle.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're biased. Not sorry.
I think it's ridiculous. Tamra, no, not Tamra. Vicki has her own podcast with Westward One.
I have strong feelings about this. I need to speak about it.
Go.
Okay.
I'm all ears.
First rant of the day. First of all, this is huge news for Real Housewives of OC, so I'm glad we're covering this. Did you see the reunion where she was like, I wasn't on a podcast. I don't do podcasts. Hypocrite. You're starting a podcast.
She's starting her own.
And I need reality TV people to stop doing podcasts. I mean, I don't want to hate and be bitter, but stay in your lane.
I said this last week on Grant's Rants with Randall and the other one, Lala. The door is closed. There are too many. We're good. We don't need any more podcasts.
And people don't have 3 hours in a day to listen to 5,000 shows.
No, and you got to keep your shows right and tight. And actually, I've been on a mission for a long time now to get this show shorter. I know your show, you like to keep it around 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Smart.
Mindful of people's time.
Yes, because there's just so much to listen to, and I don't expect anyone to have to dedicate that much time to me. But I do appreciate it because a lot of people do, and I'm really so thankful. But I want to, give everyone a fair shot. So yeah, these people, some of these podcasts are like 3 hours. I mean, who are you? Really, to think that people want to hear you for 3 hours, and some of them are almost daily. I don't know. I don't care.
I don't care. I don't understand.
So, Vicki, what I'm saying is, though, like, again, where's the strategy? You have a podcast. I don't know if it's out yet. I don't think it is.
What are you going to talk about?
But if you're going to make a statement, don't throw it away on Instagram. You give that to a People magazine or on your own podcast where you can get some type of promotion from it.
100%.
It's a throwaway on Instagram.
And it really bugged me that she threw a dig at podcasts and podcasters, and she doesn't want to go on other people's podcasts, but then you're starting your own. How do you expect to book anyone now that you've been so opposed to it? It's a collaborative space.
We tried to get her on AfterBuzz TV way back in the day when I was over there, and she would only do it if we sent her a black card both ways.
What's a black card?
A black car. So like book her like a car service from OC. And I was like, that's going to cost all of us hundreds of dollars. Like, I'm sorry, but not worth it.
Can't you drive? And she's always like, I'm a go-getter. I'm a hustler. No, you ain't. But I will say about this whole situation of both her and Tamra leaving the show, I think that at least Tamra did it in a much more graceful way instead of just accepting the friend role and being featured and then throwing a rant at the reunion in the most unclassiest way I've ever seen. At least Tamra, with all her flaws, had the decency to say, no, thank you. I'm going to leave gracefully. I'm going to, be nice about the show on Instagram. It's brought a lot to my life, and I'm just going to be respectful of Andy. Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. I don't know how respectful, because we're going to get into the next thing.
Did I miss some parts of the story?
Not necessarily, but we'll get there in a moment.
Okay.
I want to just give my personal thought that I'm not surprised about Tamra. To me, it was obvious that she manipulated story and production. She had to really earn her way, as they said a couple times. Like, she gets paid a lot, and so she has to really pull a lot of her own weight on the show. Which, when you're starting to shape story for like you're doing a producer's job, that's the beginning of the end. So I was really kind of turned off by that. Also, I'm wondering, the show has very low ratings. I'm wondering if the production budget is getting slashed on the show. And of course, Tamra's been on for 12 seasons. They got rid of Vicki, who was probably the highest paid on the show. So now it's like, well, if we get rid of Tamra and the listeners, the viewers don't really care for her, we can save money and probably get 2 housewives in her place.
They're implementing the strategy that the royal family is in the UK.
Yeah.
Getting people out to cut the budgets.
Yep.
I mean, that's not the full story, but
I think that's part of it, because the ratings are not good for this show. They've been down, 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 especially this last year. So I think that's something to do with it as well. I defended Vicki on Twitter, and I said that, and I'm talking about unpopular opinions. My God, I mean, I said it was really gross and I added Andy, as I never do. And I said, Andy and Bravo really treated her like garbage. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but she was making all these comments and was my show, which I don't agree with the my show comments, but I think there has to be a certain level of respect. In my opinion, for what I saw and what I believe to be true, is that they recorded with her under the guise that she was going to be a full-time housewife. And then at the last minute, that photo shoot, the gallery shoot, they were like, just all the ladies on the show. And that's when she found out that she wasn't full-time. So I can understand feeling slighted and disrespected. I would be equally pissed.
So you're saying, but don't you think that as she's shooting, there's already an agreement put in place of how much she's going to get paid for every episode that she shoots?
I think there's some type of agreement for filming, but I don't think that it's always going to be in favor of the production company, the network. So it's like, they determine who's full-time and who isn't. And that's why you've got these women who are self-producing, because they have to make sure that they hold that piece of fruit in the opening. And
right.
They get
I never looked
contract.
at it this way, but it seems like, I don't know if it seems very doable to me that they would make someone, tape for a whole season and then be like, oh, but we're cutting your budget last minute. I think it's more
They've
of like...
done it. They've done it in the
Really?
past. Yeah, they've done it. Barbara and Real Housewives of New York, she was supposed to be full-time, and they cut all of her story, and she just showed up at parties.
So you get paid based off of your airtime.
Mm-hmm.
See,
That's
that
what
is
I believe,
something
yeah.
I didn't... I thought they got paid per episode, but then that's
Well,
airtime.
it is, yeah, per
Yeah.
episode. So that's why.
I
It's
thought
like-
it was paid
that's
per,
why-
shooting time.
That's why, you can't blame Tamra in a way, and I do, but, you can't be like, the girls over there, they know that there's pressure to earn these contracts, and they're doing this now with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake, which we'll get to, but, it's pressure. It's pressure. So it's no longer, and this is what the downfall of these shows is, that they're just so overproduced, but it's no longer about just being in a friend group and showing off your house and your lifestyle and going to lunch. It's now who's going to get physical, who's going to create the most amount of trouble. And so to me, that's not real baseball. That's not real.
It's not reality TV anymore. It's too strategic for
Yeah.
it to be, to still be organic.
Yeah.
I mean, despite the fact that the minute you start shooting
Mm-hmm.
something and publicizing on TV, it's not organic, but the politics behind it make it even worse.
Yeah. I felt like I was crucified on Twitter just by defending Vicki the way that I did. I think that the last season, almost the whole reunion, had everything to do with Vicki. Whether you like her or not, she was a huge part of the show. So now for those who are so hateful about it and those listening who don't agree, which is fine, I respect that, but enjoy Bronwyn, Gina, and Emily. I mean, I don't know if I don't want to watch that show.
Okay, so here, I have an unpopular opinion, and I'm going to kind of disagree with you with the fact that I understand that Vicki may have felt disrespected, but at the same time, and I'm not trying to dismiss her feelings, but this is an industry that we know, and anyone who's in we know, is unfair. So you go into it knowing that people don't care about you as a person. When you're a recording artist, your product, nobody gives a Nobody cares about you. When you're an actor, you're an asset. No one sees you as a person. And so you get into that industry knowing that. So,
it didn't used to be like that with this show, though. But now it's so overproduced that they have become objects.
Yeah, but even to the press, by being on this show, you become a target. You become an object. You become objectified. And you have to go into the industry knowing that. So for her to go to the reunion and start throwing a tantrum, I think that she could have been more strategic about the way she portrayed herself to get people on her side. I thought it was a very unclassy way to deal with it.
Well, yeah, I agree with the message that she said and I know no one agrees with me on this.
The delivery was appalling.
The delivery was bad, but I agree, when she was, looking at Andy, why would you do this to me? It's embarrassing. You've got Wendy Williams saying, Vicki, you should have never done it. You should have never allowed it to happen. But, it's not Vicki's decision. So, the woman's made to look like an idiot. Well, no, she behaved like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
The behavior was appalling.
Yeah, and I think, she's now engaged. It's a good way to send her off. It's a weird way to end with Tamra because we just got
lack of answers.
Yeah, whatever. We never got to see the CBD business or anything going on in her life because all we had to do was sit around and talk about Kelly at lunch for 23 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't have much faith in the show. But, they never got the casting right on the show to me. So I don't know what they're going to do now. I think in a way, maybe, do you think they need to bring back, because I do, I think they might need to bring back an older cast member to keep the show grounded and recognizable.
A bit like they did with Beverly Hills and Brandy.
Well, she's still a friend of. See, I don't know if
but
you can compare the two.
I still think she's going to stir the pots.
Yeah, that's
even as a friend of. I think that
right.
Brandy is going to find her way to make something about her, and I think that the press is really going to focus on her because she is a very messy housewife, and I think that people like to watch that in a sense.
I mean, when it comes to Beverly Hills, I'm hoping that OC is better than that.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about OC is I kind of disagree with you. I really like Kelly Dodd. Because
I don't just like her either.
Yeah, I like watching her because I think that she does get very candid about her life issues and her family and her struggles and her relationships. And I think that
she's the least of their problems.
Yeah, we get the real her.
Right.
We get the real her. You see Vicki talking badly about all these people, and then she's very hypocritical and has done all those things herself because she's trying to be perceived in a certain way for the show and creating plots and stories for the show. And I think that that's just not the right way to go about it. I think you have, the minute you're a public figure, you need to be more strategic about how, and I'm not saying don't be yourself, but if you want to make a point come across, there's a way to do so. And I think she failed to do that for the mere just watcher. You're someone, you overanalyze, you research, you look at the tweets. But for someone who just watches the show, it comes across very badly to the viewer.
Yeah, Vicki did look crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but I still want her on the show, man. To me, I just think they got to find a place for her.
She was great to watch. She was great to watch on the show.
She was authentically herself with all flaws and everything. I mean, at least I felt like, she wasn't putting it on for the cameras the way Tamra was. I'm not.
And Bronwyn put everything on for the cameras.
Oh, please. I'm so sick of her, and I have no interest in following up with her. I really don't.
Bronwyn, branded herself before she was even on the show.
I agree.
I did appreciate how honest she was in the reunion about disliking Vicki, because I felt like that's the first time that we saw the real her with a real opinion, not trying to please everyone and brand her business. But she was too brand savvy to give us an authentic reality show performance.
I think that's a good point about her.
Yeah.
I don't dislike her, but I also, I don't
want to watch her.
I wanted to really like her. I really did. You know what? I want to go back, though. I think that putting on someone like a Megan King Edmonds, who, is okay, but I think it would make a lot of sense because they want these young moms. Now, she's a young mom of 3 kids. She just is going through this huge public battle with the ex-husband and the cheatation and the emotional affair he had. And she's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
So I think that she would fit in well. Now, she has a place in the South Bay of LA, which is not an OC, but she could easily find a place. I don't know what her relationship is.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they all live in Malibu.
Right. Oh, please don't go on that sinking ship.
Yeah.
But she could. I don't know what the situation is with St. Louis and the custody that she's going to have to find an agreement with the soon-to-be ex-husband. But I think that she could do the show. She would fit the bill, and she's also rooted in history. I think they need someone rooted in history on this show because it has such a long past. I think they could do something with her.
Yeah. When there's a lot of history and baggage, it's very easy turn the story around and make it interesting for everyone to watch.
They
People are
dig
invested.
into the flashbacks and all that. But Tamra, she unfollowed Evolution, Bravo, Bronwyn, Andy, and Shannon.
So I didn't know those things.
Yeah, so she's
very petty.
She's being petty on Instagram too. So,
I don't appreciate the pettiness. I don't appreciate it.
Why would you unfollow Shannon? Because, Shannon's not a decision maker. She's not making these, whether you're on or off or whatever. I mean, I can understand the production company and Andy. It's a wound that's a fresh wound that you're dealing with. But why unfollow Shannon?
To be devil's advocate, which I love to be, that does not mean I agree with it. If I got fired, I mean, indirectly fired at this point from my main gig, I'm not sure I would want to see everyone's like, Real Housewives new season, go watch. I mean, I'd probably mute them, but unfollowing is definitely you want it known that you've unfollowed them. I don't know if on her end I would want to see everyone just like being still there and still having the clout.
But if you're real friends with Shannon, then you just deal with it.
If you're real friends with someone, you're happy for your friend.
Yeah.
I don't think any of those friendships are real.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Well, then that would be the end of that. I don't know. We'll see what goes on with OC. Evolution, you have a lot of work to do because your 2 housewife shows are in bad shape.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another reality show. Heading into my rant of the day.
Grant's Rant of the Day.
My rant of the day is going to Netflix's The Circle. This is a reality series. For those who don't know, It features contestants moving into the same apartment complex. The twist is, though, they live separately and they never meet face-to-face. They basically interact exclusively through profiles and, like, a app. And there's a $100,000 prize, so you can be whoever you want.
It's like the dating app game.
Yeah.
It's kind of trying to show you that you can be anyone you want online and no one will really know.
Right. But, like, then they say, like, at the end of the day, it's all about being your most authentic self, which is, like, now they're trying to be, like, commentate on society. Like, it's not that deep. But I was listening to your podcast.
No, but they are trying.
Well, they're trying.
Oh, wait, what did you hear on my podcast?
I was listening to your podcast, and we feel the same way. I watched about 5 episodes. You watched about 5 episodes. I had no interest in any of them. You had no interest in any of them.
I didn't like... No. Can I be honest?
Yes.
I didn't like it. And it's sad because I'm actually very intrigued with the concept and the people that decided to go on the show. So hence why I'm probably going to have some on my show. But I didn't enjoy watching this TV show. And so many people have told me they are obsessed with it. And I do not understand the obsession. Because
I don't either.
Because I spend all my days messaging people, responding to DMs, responding to emails. I don't want to see a bunch of people laying in, like, lazy on a couch doing the same thing.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's like they sit on a couch, they're by themselves, and they're like, hey, Circle, message so-and-so. Tell them last night was really crazy. I almost had a heart attack. Send. And then they write back with another message. I thought it was going to be an episode of people just typing back and forth. It's almost worse because now people are just like talking to the cameras all day long. It's not gripping for me.
It's not gripping for me either. And I think that if they gave... this is me improvising completely at this point because I didn't make any notes on this because I feel so strongly about this. I was like, I'm just going to freestyle this episode on The Circle. If they gave these people the opportunity to meet in real life but not know who each other is and not do profile photos, they just chat with each other and gossip, but when they're in social situations in person with each other, they don't know who anyone is. And they're not allowed to talk about identity, but they can interact in person and on messaging at the same time. It would actually, I don't know how that would be possible in any way. I don't know how they would have to construct it, but it would make a stronger commentary on how a texting relationship can really, really differ from an in-person relationship. Because, the people that are kicked off are going to other people's rooms and they're like, I'm me, I'm a model. And it's like, that does not prove the point.
No, it doesn't. But that was the only part of the show that I actually enjoyed was the human-on-human contact. I actually stopped what I was doing because I had the show on in the background. And I wanted to see the actual human interaction. That's what I tuned in to see.
But that's why the show was uninteresting to us.
Exactly.
Because we crave for human interaction, which we lack of in our real lives.
I wanted to love the show. Now, it premiered in the UK. I love UK reality TV. Celebrity Big Brother UK was like,
amazing.
The best to me. And it was all because of the human interaction. It was watching someone like Kirstie Alley try to skirt around talking about Scientology to the human Ken doll. Like, that is my kind of TV.
What I like about UK reality TV, to add on to this rant, I completely agree with you, is that, there isn't a Hollywood life. There is not an industry and a scene in the UK. There's a small one, but it's not a part of people's everyday lives. So when they go into a reality TV situation, yes, they go for fame, they go for, clout, they go for followers, but they actually do have real lives that are not, I'm trying to be famous. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Although there is Instagram fame in there as well, there's still an element of reality that is ingrained in that culture that Hollywood does not have.
I see that. Now that you mention that,
do you know what I mean?
That. This is why having you on the podcast is so interesting, because you have this international perspective.
Yes. And that's what I kind of try to talk about a lot on my podcast, and very unpopular opinions as well, because, I come across Entitled, and, Maloney and Ranty and whatever else. But, I still think that not always, but sometimes having culture, an old established culture, which I disagree with a lot of the times, I think you have to adapt to our days, but having some form of just morals ingrained in you can make any situation, even reality TV, entertaining, but also like teach you stuff. It can also be informative.
Yeah. I'm missing something. I don't get it. I watched it. I don't think I'm going to continue with it. I'm not taken by these people. And I love Big Brother, like I mentioned. Like, I love reality TV, but this one just doesn't do it for me.
I'm taken by some of the people on there. I would have just liked to see them on a different reality show. I would have liked to see them on a Big Brother. I would have liked to see them on The Bachelor or Love Island or something, especially Joey. To me, he was very entertaining to watch. I just think the situation they were put in was just not gripping and not interesting.
Right. I wasn't interested. I'm sorry, but this has been my rant of the day.
That's my opinion! Same here, my friends.
Yeah. I don't know. I tried. I was very excited about it, and I was dying to watch it, and it didn't live up to my expectations, unfortunately.
We're on the same page, my friend.
Before we take a break, we should acknowledge this Kobe Bryant helicopter crash situation.
Yes, I just found out the news. I watched a whole live stream. I'm not entirely sure, but I think one of his daughters was on the helicopter as well.
His 13-year-old daughter, I guess they were going, she plays basketball, and they were going to a game. I'll say a meet, not a meeting, a game. And unfortunately, the helicopter, it struck a mountainside.
Yes.
What a way to go. I was actually just in a helicopter in October. And, it definitely takes some trust with those types of things. You have to trust that the pilot is, going to know what they're doing, and that there's not going to be any interference.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot.
We make mistakes every day in our work, but this is the kind of work where mistakes can be fatal. Unfortunately, he's an NBA player, but I'm not familiar with American sports, so I didn't know that much about him. But now that I'm seeing all this come up, I've read a lot, and he's very liked.
He's a legend in LA.
He's a legend, yeah. And anyone's life being taken by an accident is horrible, but America is very upset about it. What I will say is 100% trust issues with flying. I'm someone who suffers with a lot of flight anxiety. I promise you, so afraid of flying. I cry on a plane. I have panic attacks on the plane. And seeing something like this just makes me not ever want to fly again.
Yeah. It makes me think about, because I love going for a helicopter ride, and it makes me think twice about that.
I mean, yeah, you should really maybe do your research. I mean, you can never plan an accident. That's a wrong thing to say, but it's just such a horrible way for someone to go, especially because it's something that so many people tell you it's the safest way to travel. Flying is so much safer than being in a car, and look at what happens. It's not. I struggle with this a lot.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's a tragic story. It came out of nowhere.
I would like to say sorry to America and to LA, because everyone loves him. And he's not a part of my culture, but I'm very sorry to see one of your loved, sports players go.
Yeah, no, same. I think I'll endorse that.
Thank you.
Let's take a brief break, and when we come back, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We don't know who they are, but apparently they're filming, and they're at our Little John performance. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Britney. Everyone needs a little bit of a Britney update. We've got it for you here. That and more in a moment. Now this.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back on the podcast talking with Diana Espir, and I'm back in her apartment.
I love being back, and I love having you in my apartment. What
Isn't
an
it
honor.
nice? This is a nice... Oh, thank you. Oh,
I
God.
cleaned up for you. I was like, oh my gosh, the king of podcasts. Hi.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what to do with that. Thank you. A lot of people would beg to differ. But
He's like, that place is not that clean.
I'll take it. No, I mean, the title you give, my goodness, you're definitely coming back on.
Thank you.
Your accent is really adding some cachet to the podcast, I will say, which it needs.
Podcast caviar. No, I'm joking. My accent is trashy.
Let's talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which seems to be getting a lot of attention at Bravo. Perhaps it's the replacement to Dallas. I don't know anything, but I think it should be. There's the Sundance Film Festival going on right now, and apparently the Salt Lake ladies are there filming. I mean, what else are they going to do? This is the only thing that is synonymous with Utah, right? So they're there, and we don't know who's formally cast yet, but here are some names. This is according to page 6. So potential names are Lisa, Jen, Heather, Meredith, Whitney, Sam, and Angie. All white girl names. It's just funny. It's like we got every name covered.
I mean, I am the embodiment of white girl problem, so I probably have to tune in.
There's 8 of them, which means someone's going to be sidelined as a friend of because it's such a formula now. But they were spotted at Little John and Post Malone's party, and they were front and center at a table at a VIP section and all that. So that's good. It gives us something to look forward to that's new and fresh. I'm open to it.
So am I. I mean, I'm not super up to date with every single one of the franchises. I typically watch more of the California-based ones. I only just started getting into Miami because I've been traveling back and forth from there because my boyfriend lives there. But
it's a limited run, Miami.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. But very good show. I'm surprised it's not on. I thought it was a great franchise. So I'm not super up to date with all the franchises, but since I get to start fresh with a brand new thing,
right,
might get involved.
Yeah, it is odd going back to Miami real quick that show just never returned and they never could figure it out.
It was really good.
Miami-based shows are hard. I don't know why they don't last. They just don't last. I don't know why that is, but
I don't know. Honestly, it's very intriguing to me because I genuinely enjoyed watching The Real Housewives of Miami.
Yeah,
I thought it was very messy. Everything I want from a housewife.
I'm surprised they could never reinvent it, but it seems odd that that's always like the RIP version. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Are you watching Vanderpump Rules?
Of course. I'm a Vanderpump Rules connoisseur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you want to talk Vanderpump Rules, Deanna's here.
Well, Lala and what's-her-face, Katie, are both from Utah, and they were spotted filming with the women of Salt Lake City. And I guess this is going to be some type of Bravo crossover synergy situation.
They do a lot of cross-promotion. That's how they made Summer House more popular, which I really enjoy watching.
Really, yeah.
Summer House is a great, great show. I think it spices things up for sure. They seem to be cross-promoting a lot. I even saw Kyle Richards going back to OC commenting on Vicky's post saying, real OG, you will be missed or something along the lines.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely... you know how there was like Disney high school, like all the kids from Disney kind of went to high school together and had all these like relationships and like between each other. I think there's a whole like Bravo little circle of people where they kind of all, you know, lick each other's asses. I can't say that on your show. How were they all? How can I kiss each other's asses?
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole little Bravo community where they all have their own little Bravo social life, and they're all kind of intertwined, but we don't necessarily see it on the shows all the time.
Well, they do a great job at hiding the real friendships of these women. I mean, Kelly Dodd and Ramona Singer are a great example. I mean, they're actual real-life friends. Ramona introduced her current husband to her, whoever he is to her. I don't know. Are they married? I can't figure it out. I saw pictures with the Trumps. I can't figure it all out.
I don't know. You know what I would really enjoy watching is one Bravo reality show that groups all the Bravo celebrities that are actually friends. And like, yeah, it wouldn't be able to be like we film over the summer because they don't come across each other all the time because they're in different states. But I would like to see how these Bravo celebrities actually connect with one another.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
If these shows are supposed to be about their real life, all of them, I'm not talking just about Housewives. If they're all supposed to be about these people's real life relationships and they're all friends with each other, I mean, yeah, let's see it.
Definitely want to see that. It's like with the Kardashians. I always say that I'm sick and tired of seeing people eating salads, sitting down moaning. I want to see their relationships with the producers. Where are the cameras in your house? Do you have like built-in cameras already in your house because your whole life is a reality show? Like, those are the things I now want to see from the Kardashians.
Yeah, I think that's where things should go. You got to break that fourth wall more. I know for all the Housewives, they have their own producer. I know Teresa's very close with her producer that's assigned to her. We don't see this person ever, but like, you know, there's politics involved and airtime.
100%.
And I mean, this woman's working for Teresa, basically.
About Vanderpump Rules, which we're originally talking about, you know, they actually have friendships with their producers. And now that they're open about the fact that they don't work at Cher, they are celebrities, they have fans, they weren't open about this on previous seasons. I think now is a great time to actually show us the relationship with the production and how actually a reality TV show works.
It'd be groundbreaking. It really would be. I've been saying this for a while, and they gotta record and air these shows closer to each other. We're looking at stuff that is now like 7-8 months old, and I've been saying this a lot on this podcast because it's noticeable. And it's hard as a viewer when there's so much TV to be invested in something that happened last Mother's Day.
Especially with everything being on social media.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about something that happened on Mother's Day, 2019. Like, I don't even remember where I was. I have no touchstone to that. Like, I have no clue. So that's my point. That's my rant. They got to fix that. There's a lot they can do, and I think a network like Bravo could really be the one to do it, or E could use the press. E should be the one that's like, we're going to do a reality show with the quickest turnaround in history. And it's like, maybe it's a month, maybe it's a month and a half. It's still quick.
Yeah, and maybe invest less in editing because we want less production. We want more raw. We want more organic.
What all that time leads to between the recording, editing, and premiere is just leads to more story manipulation. Yes. And people are past all that. So
especially with podcasting being such, you know, a booming platform, the reason why it is because it is a very unfiltered, very raw medium that is not a press
readily
article.
Available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like right on your phone, ready to go from like hours before. I want to briefly touch on Britney because she had a hearing this week. No real news came out of it. Again, it was sealed to the public. But she's got 9 different lawyers on both sides. Some of them from Michael Jackson's camp. Good luck. Her parents, the mother joined by phone. Hashtag Free Britney trended. I definitely contributed to that. I've been a big supporter of this. I went to the first rally itself at West Hollywood City Hall. You know, it's just been so ugly what's happened to her over all this time. And whatever it is, if she's not mentally well, then don't have her work as much as they were working her. If she's free and clear to continue, then hopefully the judge will see that in a positive way and that she can change her life and gain some independence. Something has to change either way here.
I mean, especially with Hollywood and LA becoming such a, you know, take care of yourself, mental health. You know, I feel like everyone in Hollywood and in the world now is becoming more in tune with mental wellness. Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what really pisses me off? All these articles, they keep saying, like, because to your point, they're like, Britney's very public meltdown. Well, it was only made very public because the press at the time made it into a spectacle. Yeah. But now you can't get away with that.
And also, you know, I'm going into what you're saying, what you wanted to talk about the horseback riding photo, where I'd say it's the most authentic we've ever seen. No, we've seen meltdowns. We've seen her authentic. I think this is just what people prefer to see on their feeds because it's prettier, it's nicer.
Yeah, and I'm wondering. Go ahead.
I just think she's been very authentic. We've seen her shave her head. We've seen some real authentic moments. They were not pretty, but not pretty does not mean it's not authentic.
Right. And that seems such an odd statement to make about someone's Instagram post. When she posted so much, I just feel like it's like her team being like, look, she's doing great. Like, everything's great.
It seems strategized.
Yeah, it does. Because why? And of course, and I believe their teams are all in with the Blast who posted that article about her being authentic. And it's almost like there's some narrative that people are trying to make. Like, don't tell me that this is authentic. I will either agree or disagree based on my own discernment.
Yes.
My own view. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's it. It was nice to see her horseback riding. It was definitely something nice to watch. Do I think it's Britney's most authentic self? No, we've seen authentic Britney. Her life is hard. It wasn't always pretty. Right. And I'm just over this lack of transparency from the press. That's why, again, I love podcasting. I think that, okay.
We're the one talking about the story. The press isn't talking about this. The Blast isn't talking about this story. They're just saying, oh, there are a few people that are outside, protesting this. Thank God there are people protesting, because if not, it would never get any coverage.
100%.
Yeah. Cher, though, she did tweet about this LA Magazine article from last month. It said, basically the title was Inside the Battle for Britney Spears. And I read this full article. It was everything I had been talking about on this show. Questioning, her being put into a 72-hour hold and the medication that she's on, and just what the status is, and are these posts really her, or how much of her team is really putting this out there? And basically, Cher said, possible just enough meds to keep her working, not enough to have a life. And that could be what's happening here. I mean, it seems like she's heavily medicated, and we're seeing that in a lot of these pictures. And it's unfortunate. Yeah,
I think, again, when people start coming at people for being heavily medicated, and I just think those are personal things. And if she wants to address it herself, she can. But I don't like others calling people out on their, illnesses. And I think that's too ugly for me. And I'm ugly on my podcast. This is just pushing it too far for me.
Yeah, I think it's a little important to question, though, if someone's being medicated against their will for money. I think it should be looked at.
Against her will, I completely disagree. But don't you have to sign consent when you're checked into a facility?
Not when you're under a conservatorship.
See, I don't know how it works here.
That's the problem.
Okay, this is me being ignorant.
Well, yeah, no, and people are learning this because not many people are familiar with guardianships and things like that. But
right.
You unfortunately you lose your identity, and your signature means nothing because you're not considered a consenting adult when you're under these conservatorships. So people sign for you, so they can sign you up for anything, and that's the problem. And that's where people need to really just wait for the judge to go make a good judgment and investigation into this. And that's all that I was asking for. Hey,
right.
if Britney can't handle it on her own, then she can't handle it on her own.
No.
I get it. But they've got to look into this because there's a lot of money involved.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Money that we wish we had for more meaningful things. I mean, not saying that that's not meaningful, but I'm always going to defend Britney. I'm always going to be a Britney fan.
I know.
Despite her lack of singing talent. I mean, no, she used to have singing talent, but I don't know. I'm always going to make excuses for Britney.
God bless her. For those who want to hear more from you, how can they find your podcast?
Thank you. So you can find me on my podcast on all platforms. It's called You Can't Sit With Me, which obviously Grant was able to do.
Yes.
I really appreciate him doing so. And you can also find me on Instagram, which is Diana Espir, Diana Espir. And also make sure you check out my podcast with Grant. He was such an insightful resource for everything pop culture on my show. Definitely one of the best people I've spoken to on my show so far.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
I loved it so much. So yeah, great collaboration. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I so appreciate it. This has been great. I was going to say, before I sign off, this coming week, I think I have to go in for another root canal. I know I do. And I have 10 hours worth of podcasts coming out this week, including yours, including mine. And at work, I have all these shows due. It is insane. And then once February comes, it all opens up. So what an odd time. So for my own recovery, I will not have a podcast next week. I need a minute just to get back to normal. And then there'll be more to come. And the 150th episode is coming up with a little bit of an announcement there. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up. Just bear with me. Life is developing.
Podcasting is harder than meets the eye. Can I just make a special request as a fangirl? If you can't make a podcast, can you keep us up to date on stories at least? Because I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I definitely tried to stay up a little bit of the Instagram stories just because I wanted to keep it more positive. But recently, it's actually been a great resource, and I feel like closer than ever with the people that follow me. It's been really great. I should probably say thank you to so many people who have reached out to me and who are going through similar things. It's just been an odd couple of months. I've been dealing with some health stuff and a lot of stress. I'm trying to make some life changes and can't seem to make these changes until I get everything else straightened out. So, it's just living life. Everyone's going through something.
Best of luck with it.
Thank you. And on to everyone listening too. Everyone has something to deal with, and I get you in my thoughts as well. So as always, we'll be back with more rants. My thanks to Deanna, and there'll be more rants to come real soon. I love you for listening.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Voiceover by Aw Yeah! Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.